Well, the race about to get underway for these pre-1974 cars. The lights go out then, so John Village versus Richard Pryor on the run up towards Richie's corner. And John Village then in the Village V2 leads the way with Pryor in the DNC. And there's one car, I'm afraid, that hasn't got very far at all, Kieran.
John, yeah, number 44 has pulled off just on the entrance of the pit lane there, so John will take no further part in this race, unfortunately. So something must have happened right as he got the car started and moving off the grid. So that's really unfortunate there for the number 44 of John McDonald, where his race lasted no more than, 50 metres, unfortunately. I wonder how that works out for the handicap, but I suppose you'll have to use the qualifying times at that point. But we've got some good racing here now. The number 69, that's Hugo and Mike Pickup's machine, as they're trying to go down the inside now, going in towards Palmer then. And as we make our way through then, that looks like it's a good lead, a good early lead, I should say, for the number 29 of John Village then. Down in towards Agostini they go. Bit of battling further behind as well, as drivers do a big lock-up actually for the number 5, and that almost forces the 41 of Christopher Jones to really hang it around the outside. I don't think he really had a choice in that. Michael Harvey's lock-up it was for the number 5 down in towards Agostini there, and it's not a planned move around the outside for Christopher Jones. Sort of looked like that in the car's body language, but he did manage to make the move stick besides that.
So this is the first, will probably be 6 laps. These cars obviously not as quick, as I say, they're pre-1974 750 Formula cars that run in Class C. Similar cars in Class D, including that Greg Catton car that you've been watching involved in that battle, the Dyson Type 64. And then Class A and B cars are for Austin 7s, Class B the supercharged cars, and Class A the standard cars, and that's where the 750 comes from in 750 Motor Club. But a big moment, I'm afraid, for number 7. So that's Graham Wilson in the Time 3B that had a big moment. The driver from Cheshire, who's been racing now for a few seasons. That was quite a sketchy moment in a car that was previously raced by Anthony Reid at Anglesey for an Autosport magazine feature. So that's a nice thing that you could say about your car, Kieran.
Absolutely, featured in Autosport. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we want to hear, as we're just about to complete the first lap's worth of racing, as I think the drivers are just making it through the final corner at Murray's, and here comes John Village then across the line to complete the first lap's worth of racing, and the lap time on the board is going to be a 2:42.2, but that's of course from a standing start. And I'll tell you something, that number 31, Greg Catton, who's made his way up through the order, up to second place now, and is 1.6 seconds behind, so top 3 still pretty much 3 seconds separates them at this moment in time, as there's a move being made down the inside going in towards Riches there. That looked potentially to be Ben Bolton, the number 13 down the inside of Riches there.
Looks like Greg Catton's going after John Village. So Catton from Bury St Edmunds, not far from Snetterton, sort of 3/4 of an hour or so, going after John Village, a driver from North East Derbyshire, the former European Formula Ford champion, John Village, who run teams in Formula Ford, in Formula Vauxhall, Formula Renault, and up to Formula 3000 and A1 GP as well. So John Village, a super experienced motorsport person. And he is very much under pressure then from Greg Catton, who's previously raced Mazda MX-5s in Caterhams, but is now in this 1172 Formula Championship car. So it's got a slightly bigger engine than the 750 Formula cars that have the Reliant engines. So therefore it runs in Class D in this new classification for this season, to encourage more cars of similar performance to these historic 750 Formula cars. So things like old Formula Vs are also eligible, and we saw I think one of them out last time out. And I think it's anything up to something like 65 brake horsepower or something like that, so it gives you an idea of the power of these cars. I.e. there's not very much, but they're very enjoyable cars to race, and this is a type of car that John Village raced, the car that he's racing today, that he started his racing career in back in the 1970s. And he's recreated another, and that's what he's racing today. There's one of the Austin 7s, the first of them on the grid today, and that is driven by Hugo Pickup, and that is an Ulster replica that he's in, or the first of the standard engined Austin 7s. There is a supercharged car just ahead, and that's James Miles at the front of that group, the West Sussex driver in his Monoposto 1936 Austin 7, which has the side valve supercharged engine. So he started this lap at the very least in what was 7th position. He's got Ben Bolt just behind him, and Chris Jones as well. Chris Jones, who's new to car racing, has raced motorcycles in the past and has also competed in hill climbs. For the lead, a change for the lead across the line, Kieran.
Yes, it is. So it's Greg Catton who now leads the way then. He's got the move done down the centre straight, moves ahead now of John Village, and as they make their way up towards the hairpin at Wilson, Greg Catton here will just look to see if he can extend that lead as far as possible ahead of John Village then. Richard Pryor rounding off the top 3 as it stands, and leader of the B class then is the number 18. That's Timothy Roebuck. Timothy Roebuck, yes, I thought I said that right, but there we go. He's currently leading the B class at the moment, and then leading the Class A is the number 69, Hugo Pickup, who is on our standings. It's just come through. He's now ahead of James Miles. Here comes John Village, though, down the inside as we make our way down towards Agostini. So I have a feeling, Josh, these two leaders are going to be swapping positions for a while.
Yeah, it's two very different cars, but they've involved in a great battle here, which is really good to see. They were separated at the line by 21 thousandths of a second, so you can't get too much closer than that. So you might not need the handicap to have a finish like this if it carries on throughout the remaining 8.5 minutes of this race. Looks like James Miles has retired, I'm afraid, to the pit lane, as did Graham Wilson, who we saw have that issue up with the S's on the first lap. So this is lap 3. Village back ahead, but he's now well aware of what that Dyson is capable of. And that the 1964 Dyson Type 64, it has a Ford Anglia engine, which is a 1200cc car, and it's just one of 5 Dysons that were built from the period. And he's got a bit more straight line speed at the end of the straights by the looks of it, but John Village hangs on this time into the left-hander at Brundle. So JV, I think, as he told Kieran at Brands Hatch, he's the original JV, but he got there before Jos Verstappen, was what he told us. So John Village leads the way. He's in his 70s nowadays. That doesn't slow him down at all, it seems. He's particularly normally good on the first laps of the race, but this time he's really had to contend with challenges on the first laps. A battle further back, this is the second in Class A, Richard Verheyden, who is there in the Austin Ulster Bad Frog, and Charlie Plain Jones, a long time 750 Motor Club competitor, and he's in the Cowley Special. We saw Bill Cowley out earlier in his grandfather's car. Well, this car that Charlie Plain Jones is driving is a car that was built by Nigel Cowley back in the day. And it's based on a 1930s car. That's
Greg Catton, who's once again down the inside going in towards Richie's, so he's now taken back over the lead of this race then, ahead of John Village. And yeah, like I said, these two are going to be swapping positions, potentially a move for John Village then. Is he close enough to the back as they make their way through in towards the hairpin? He's right on his tail, though, as they get back down on the power then. Can John Village see if he can find a way down the inside? He might try a move here down the inside of Palmer. He's got right to that inside line, but he has to back out of it, so Greg Catton holds on to the lead.
Yes, so this is really a really nice tussle, isn't it? They change positions a couple of times at least a lap, and they might do another one now into the Agostini hairpin. John Village is on the inside, he brakes later. And locking up on the outside is Catton. It looked like Village was the one that was braking later, but it was the lock-up for Catton, and that's just lost him a bit of time. So John Village reclaims the lead, is where he started the lap. So he had lost the lead at Ritchie's, has regained it by the time they get to Agostini. So he's back ahead of Catton. Richard Pryor, who is there on the front row of the grid, he's dropped a bit further back in the DNC. He's there in a 3rd position in the ex-Jerry Fincham car, and then Tim Roebuck, the first of the Austin 7s in the supercharged car, is there in 4th position. But can Catton close this gap back in, Kieran?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, this will be interesting for the handicap race later on, because of course it works out sort of the average lap times, they should be doing in clean air, and bases the grid position and the time you're held for based on that. Now, if John Village and Greg Catton are battling away as hard as they are, it's very likely they're going to start at the same time towards the back of the grid, but they'll have to put aside their battle with each other to try and catch everybody else first, and that should be an interesting dynamic to throw under the rug.
Yeah, and there'll be a battle that perhaps we'll be able to watch throughout the distance before the handicap comes into play at the end of the race. Although instead of starting in first and second like they have been throughout this race, they'll be in the last two positions instead. There's some more battles I can see. We're peeking over the Armco barrier. And who do we see? Number 41. That's Chris Jones from the West Midlands, the ex-motorcycle racer in the 1976 DNC Mark VI, which was built originally by Mike Watley. Peter Knipe campaigned the car into the 1990 and won the 1998 championship with that car that is being driven today, number 41 by Richard Jones. But just behind them is the Austin 7 Class A leader, Hugo Pickup, in the Ulster replica. And out the window, it's side by side for the lead of the race again, and this time it's Greg Catton that's gone round the outside of John Village to claim the lead, despite the fact that Village got the fastest lap. So by the end of the straight, maybe with the use of the slipstream, Kieran, the passes happened again. Yeah,
Greg Catton around the outside of Ritchie's. Yeah, it's a brave one to make a move down there, but he's got the move done. And Greg Catton now leads the way ahead of John Village, and we have just over 4 minutes left of this race. So it comes down to, does John Village want to be ahead after the final corner? Does he want to be the one trying to lead the charge towards the line? I suppose he has to, because Greg Catton we see has the better top speed, but John Village is able to get into the slipstream as they both make their run down towards Agostini. Greg Catton defending the inside line then, so John Village might try and focus on the exit to try and get a better exit, which he does. He pulls himself alongside Greg Catton on the left-hand side of the track. He's got a nose ahead, has John Village, going in towards Hamilton, and John Village then takes back the race lead.
Yep, so another position change. We should have kept a tally of this, because there's been a lot of them. They're all, I think, competing with low cost for the most overtakes during the course of a race. So John Village back ahead then of Greg Catton. They go into Williams. Fast corner, then they accelerate up the Bentley Straight, where John Village first raced here. I would say, was it the Redditch Straight? Might have been the Norwich Straight when John Village started racing here back in the 1970s, when actually the circuit went much further up alongside the A11 and went on the what is nowadays the outside of the circuit venue. But then the track was shortened around that time to a 2-mile layout, which it was for a long time, and then 10 years just over ago we've got this longer circuit here at Snetterton. But into Coram, Village is on the inside of Catton, and he will go through to lead, or will he, here at Coram Curve, Kieran?
I think Greg Catton just around the outside there, able to hang on to that lead then, but John Village is making it very clear then. He's very eager to get the move down the inside there. As I just see underneath us, James Miles is being towed back to the assembly area, or at least the latter stages of it, as John Village then starts the final lap just about ahead, but Greg Catton has the inside line then as we make our way down towards the first turn, and Greg Catton tucks back in going in towards Ritchie's, so John Village leads through the first corner for the first time in a while actually, as he bids to see if he can wrap this up with a victory.
And is there a yellow flag here? John Village had his arm out the cockpit. Yes, there's a yellow flag at Wilson. So he's just making sure Greg realised that as well, acknowledging the yellow, and then they will carry on. So we've lost one car from the race recently. There's a driver actually as well, isn't there, just behind the barriers, but that won't affect the last lap of this race too much. So Village and Catton are 18 seconds ahead of Richard Pryor, pretty close for fourth between Tim Roebuck and David Lewis as well. They've just crossed the line. Perhaps we'll catch up on that a little bit later once this battle for the victory has been sorted out. I'm not really sure where you want to be on that last corner, because it seems both Catton and Village have been able to outdrag the other car on the run to the line.
It's a conundrum, isn't it? But I suppose one of them is going to have to win this race, John Village or Greg Catton, who've been giving us a really good battle all the way through. Village has managed to get himself a little bit of breathing space, heading his way down in towards Oggies then, as he gets back onto the power, going now through in towards Williams. But this is where Greg Catton will start to reel in John Village as they'll make their way now on towards the Bentley Straight and then down towards Brundle and Nelson. Can Greg Catton get himself ahead before the final few corners?
Yes, we shall see. On the previous lap, yeah, they were pretty close under the bridge, and they might well be again. There's another good 4-car battle that's gone past us, so I'll give them a catch up on that when they come to their final stages. A Catton round the outside of Village, through Brundle, and he goes through to the Dyson, the 1172 Formula car, sideways out of the corner, ahead of the 750 Formula car. The Village there in second place, driven by the man that designed it back in the 1970s. John Village in second. How's he going to find a way through? Well, first he has a look to the outside at Coram. This corner that starts the same as it used to, but then gets much tighter, and it's going to be all about the exit to the final corners, which is Murray's. And Dyson has not had a good turn. He's run out wide, but is that actually going to give him the momentum out of the corner, because Village had to adjust his line because of it. And we're going to have a drag race to the line. John Village is pulled out of the toe. They're absolutely side by side as they come up to the checkered flag, and John Village has done it. And Greg Catton thumped the steering wheel in disgust that he lost it on the final metres of the race. The gap was actually 1600ths at the line, but John Village, he wins again. That's his third win of the season. But quite remarkably, he managed to get it done in the last metres of the race. What about the battles further back? Well, this is the dice for 6th position. It features 4 cars, and I think that's Ben Bolt that's just gone past Christopher Jones.
Yes, it was, and Christopher Jones looks like he got a little bit wayward going in towards Oggies, because he's been at the head of this pack for quite some time. There's Mike Whitby, who goes now up the inside. So now that's him up into 7th place as they all make their way through. Hugo Pickup looking to pick up the pieces then as we make our way down the Bentley Straight. But yeah, Ben Bolt has really made his way down the Bentley Straight. But here comes the 41 of Christopher Jones. He'll have to go the long way round of Mike Whitby if he wants to get that move done. Heading their way in towards Brundle now, and then in towards Nelson. I think they've all sorted themselves out then, so that it is Bolt from Whitby, and then it's Jones right behind, but it's going to be decided through the final couple of corners.
So there goes Ben Bolt then in 13. Ben, who's 79 from Warwickshire, started racing back in 1961, would you believe? So he's been racing for more than 60 years. And he's battling for 6th position as they turn their way through Coram Curve. He's got Mike Whitby in there behind him. Mike, who's been racing for a couple of decades as well in Austin 7s and historic 750 Formula cars. Then you've got Chris Jones, who's new to racing this year, so he's so much less experienced than the 2 drivers ahead of him, but he's been enjoying his battle. He's got the novice cross on the back, as you can see. Richard Pryor came home 3rd, Tim Roebuck 4th, David Lewis in 5th, Ben Bolt is 6th, and another drag race to the line for 7th. And Chris Jones takes it by about the same gap as the race winning margin was. Let's have a look then at the results of the historic 750 Formula Series. It was John Village who won by 0.165 of a second from Greg Catton. Richard Pryor was 3rd and Tim Roebuck 4th. David Lewis took 5th and Ben Bolt was 6th. Christopher Jones was 7th and Mike Whitby 8th. Hugo Pickup won Class A ahead of Michael Harvey, who was a Class C car, who took 10th. Richard Verheyden was 11th ahead of Charlie Plain Jones, and those two are about to finish their race now. Retirement for Richard Long, he was the cause of the yellow. James Miles and Graham Wilson came into the pit lane, and we lost John McDonald as well during the course of that 15-minute race. And as we've made reference to, we have the handicap race at the end of the day, which we will look forward to in about 3.5 hours time or so. We've got lots of racing to come up before that, and I think we can hear that from Kieran Mogg, who will be with our top 3 in just a moment.
Well, quite a photo finish there, which is almost John Village, almost unusual, because we've got very accustomed to speaking to you in first position, but you almost weren't.
I know, it was a cracking race, and that's what we come for, to have a good race.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, track conditions, it's quite hot out there. How are you finding it?
Well, the same as normal. He's making me sweat, though.
It's about time somebody did.
I know. Brilliant job.
How are you feeling ahead of the what's it called?
Handicap?
That's the one. How are you feeling ahead of handicap later?
Okay. car's all right, so give it a go. No doubt they'll put me a million miles back. And of course, Greg.
You'll have someone back there with you this time. So, Greg, you nearly had it. So, just a bit of a wide exit on the last corner, was it?
Very nearly. He's just got the legs on me coming out of the slow corners. But we'll have to work on that.
It does mean that you get to start in front of him later.
Oh, now you tell me.
Well, obviously, if you can get in front of a couple of cars and just use them to block him a little bit, you never know.
I'll have a word with some of the others to slow him up, yeah.
Okay, look, he's won a few too many races. Let's get him.
I only lost that by a yard, so that's not bad, I think. Yeah,
So you're liking the track, you're liking the conditions, you feeling comfortable?
yeah, I love this track. Yeah, this is my local track, so I know the way around it now. And yeah, Dyson performed well for once, yeah.
Excellent. Well, good luck for the race later on then.
Thanks.
Cheers, thank you very much. I'm going to talk to Timothy Roebuck over here. So, Tim, can I just jump in here? Class winner as well. Quite up there. How was the track? How was the race? All going well?
Yes, it's hot out there actually. It's really hard work, and I was counting down the laps on using the timer above the start finish, and I came past it. Oh, there's 2 more laps, and I just got past on the last lap, and I knew it was the last lap, so I thought I've got to really try and get back in front, and I managed to do it down the Bentley straight, and hold on to it to the end.
Excellent. And with the handicap race later, how are you feeling ahead of it? What is your plan going to be?
Actually, I'm not going to do the handicap race, so my best friend, he's going to drive the car in the handicap race for me. So
you're chucking him in with the hard race?
yeah, give him a bit of fun.
Nothing like a bit of friendship. Anyway, well, good luck for the race later on then.
Thank you.
Cheers, thank you very much. And we also have Hugo Pickup over there. Unfortunately, they're telling me to cut. I'm really sorry. Congratulations on your class win, though. So we're going to go back up to Josh and Kieran up in the commentary box, which before I think we're going to hear from some sponsors. So see you in a second.